Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. Hope you're doing well. And we are going to do a track review right now. Actually, getting into a couple of tracks. You see, Little B the Basedgod, my little love bug. He has a brand new mixtape out titled Options. It is a 2-hour mixtape with 34 tracks on it. Little B does not disappoint on the material front. He always gives you way more than you know what to do with. But there are a few tracks of interest in the midst of this mixtape. He has these short little freestyles over a few different very popular songs and instrumentals that have been released very recently. We have him rapping on top of 6ix9ine's Gummo beat. We have him rapping on top of tay-k's The Race, which he has retitled as Based Race. And then finally, the Basedgod takes on his own version of This Is America with This Is the Basedgod. So I'm gonna sample each of these tracks and come back with thoughts after each listen. Let's give them all a shot and let's go. Okay, particularly based freestyle right there from the Basedgod. It actually feels like kind of a lyrical and a stylistic throwback because Little B seems like he's particularly off the cuff on this track with his weird ad-libs and proclamations of swag in the midst of some of his lines, which he's bumbling here and there. But then he'll drop a really weird, absurd line here and there, like if you're from the East Coast, make some noise in this bitch. If you're from the whole world, make some noise in this bitch. Well, that's everybody. That's just everybody. Everyone who's listening is from the whole world. Unless some kind of alien race of people are listening to this track far out into the outer reaches of the galaxy, maybe they are, and unfortunately, after hearing that lyric, they will not be able to make any noise. But yeah, it's a pretty short, straightforward, based freestyle that's totally ridiculous and off the wall. Good energy. Doesn't sound as raspy and as hefty, vocally speaking, as some of the material off of his last big tape. Really kind of sounds like he's bringing that youthful based energy back. So let's see if he also doubles up on that with the Based Race track over here. Also liked how he embraced the 6ix9ine flow. The sticky icky flow on the back end of the track quite a bit. I thought that was pretty nice. All right, let's try the Based Race. Wow, wow! The levels of based energy on that track were at astronomical levels. Lil B was just so fucked up on the bass energy on this track. He was barely on the tempo. He could barely keep his lyrics straight. They were even more ridiculous. He just sounded really sloppy and crazy. And of course, he came right in, kicked the track off with that classic bassed flow. That young Basedgod, da 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 ba 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 ba. Not really embracing the original flow of the track like he did on Basedgod-ish, but he sort of just dominated the track with his classic flow, his ridiculous absurdity, saying young Basedgod has bitches not just in Tampa, but I think he also said Alaska, which is an interesting area to have bitches in, I guess. Not really a place you see a lot of rappers citing the location of their bitches. If we ever do find ourselves in a situation where sea levels rise to the point where places like Tampa are totally underwater, where a lot of rappers probably have their roots, and have people who they're talking to on the side, Little B will not be worrying because Alaska will probably still be totally cool. He'll be able to go up to Alaska where other rappers have no connections whatsoever, and he'll be good. He'll be totally good. So good on the Basedgod for kind of not putting all of his eggs in one basket. Really smart thing of a rapper to do. What a good love bug. All right, finally, let's give a shot to my favorite rendition of these three tracks. We have the bass god himself taking on Donald Glover's This Is America on This Is the Bass God. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what's going on. Ba-bam. Okay, Lil B, This Is the Bass God. Kind of an interesting take on that track. Obviously not the original instrumental of the song, clearly a reproduction where they sampled the introductory vocals of This Is America and then just kind of spliced them on top of just a newly structured beat that takes a lot of the same synth and percussion ideas from the original track. I wish the bass was a bit more present, like it's not done to a T. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but for it to hit with a bit more punch, I think would have been nice. That being said, though, this is probably the most preposterous of these three tracks. Not only because Little B kind of kicks the track off with these insane proclamations of, "This is the bass god, he's gonna fuck my bitch, he's gonna fuck my bitch," just that crazy, insane, again, old school, totally preposterous, ridiculous, overly sexual, just so absurd energy from his earlier classic tapes and singles on YouTube just come back in full form, especially when he's dropping lyrics and that classic flow when he's like, "Young bass god," what, he's got bitches and jacuzzis, and then he goes on to say he has bitches from the movies. You can't top that weird, off the cuff, kooky lyricism. That energy, that bass love bug energy. It's just too much. It's overwhelming. It's completely ridiculous. Little B, I think, is underappreciated by a lot of old heads, and me myself at one point, for just how raw and intoxicating his charisma is, and just how infectious his ridiculousness is on those classic tracks, on tracks like this, because it really kind of is so silly and so thrilling that it just kind of causes you to drop your guard. And I like that quite a bit. And while I do like a lot of the material off of his, couple of recent tapes, it's cool to hear him throw it back to that style, to that bass freestyle sound, and again, energy on this cut. It doesn't happen throughout every track on this album. I think over the years, Little B, oddly enough, has gotten a little more experimental and versatile. But liking the attitude he's bringing on these tracks. Not only is this very much in the vein of his older work, but kind of hopping on other instrumentals, other popular instrumentals, doing your own thing on top of them. Lil B is definitely worshiping at the altar of Lil Wayne. Obviously not the only rapper to do that, but Lil B has made it pretty clear, not really exactly a secret, that he loves Wayne and appreciates his body of work and his approach to the whole mixtape game, which has certainly influenced Lil B's trajectory across that over the course of his career. But all right, I'm going to leave it at that. Lil B, Options. Try out the new tape. A lot of bangers on it, a lot of bass freestyles on it, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Over here next to my head is another one that you can watch, that and the link to subscribe to the channel. You're the best. Anthony Fantano, Lil B, forever.